So, it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week we saw quite a few elite matchups where the league's biggest stars shined bright, we saw players start to get comfortable with their new teams after getting traded at the NBA's trade deadline, and we also got quite a bit of interesting news regarding things happening off the court, so of course we have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePix for sponsoring this video. PrizePix is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of individual player props, such as points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made, amongst others, and you simply have to choose whether you believe they will record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your selections, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win some big money. For some picks that I'm looking at making for today's slate of games, I'm thinking of going with Malcolm Brogdon to score over 19.5 points, Steven Adams to score over 7.5 points, and CJ McCollum to make over 2.5 threes. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go use the link down in the description of the video to sign up today and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePix for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jimmy, and he says that Luka Doncic also has a strong case for being the MVP, or at least in the race, because of his numbers and the Mavericks' place in the standings, despite him not really getting the buzz for it by most people. This particular take actually plays into the idea that I've had for a video I might make in the near future, where basically I've noticed that this season there are too many legitimate MVP candidates to keep track of. Throughout most seasons in recent history, there are usually about 2 or 3 players that actually deserve to be in the MVP conversation, but this year, that's just not the case. Additionally, the context behind the MVP award seems to be changing ever so slightly, because almost every season in the past, the award has gone to the best player on a top 2 seed. But last season, Nikola Jokic won it after his Nuggets finished in 3rd place in the West, and now this year, the standings, especially in the Eastern Conference, are so close that the logic of just picking the best player on one of the best teams isn't enough context to find the best choice. Especially this season, the top seeds in both the East and the West, being the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns, are both teams that are more well-balanced and aren't necessarily reliant on their quote-unquote best players to carry a huge load, so calling someone like Jimmy Butler or Chris Paul the MVP doesn't carry much weight when their production doesn't stack up against players like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who are probably better candidates. Now applying this all back to Luka Doncic, who was the original subject here, I honestly agree that Luka deserves more buzz in the race, even though there are so many guys you could also say the same thing about. At the top, I don't think anyone should disagree about Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic being the 2 favorites at the moment to win, but the voters that make it for the award get to choose 5 players to put on their ballots, and Luka Doncic is as deserving as anyone for some of those 3rd, 4th, and 5th place votes. Putting up 28 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds per game while shooting 45% from the field is unbelievable production by Doncic, and he continues to be the guy that initiates almost everything for his Mavericks team, who sit in 5th place in the West at the moment. Players like Ja Morant and DeMar DeRozan have also been popular names filling out the rest of the ballots, and I'm not saying it's not warranted, but Luka Doncic has probably been as good or better than them. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Frido, and he says that the Pelicans have done an outstanding job building around Zion Williamson with their team, so if he still tries to force his way out after this, then the NBA needs to make some changes. Right off the bat, I'll say that for a while, this was not the case. It's tough to put things together immediately in year one, so that's nobody's fault, and even last season the Pelicans were still in their growing phase, but this past offseason was an opportunity to get aggressive and try to take things to the next level, and they kind of squandered it. Reports from the time stated that they wanted to make a big signing at the point guard position, which is why they allowed Lonzo Ball to leave in the offseason, but they failed to make that acquisition, so they settled for Devonte Graham, which isn't exactly much of a game changer. The Pelicans then started this season losing 12 of their first 13 games, and Zion's injury has held him out for much longer than it was originally supposed to. But after that crazy cold stretch the team started off with, the Pelicans have actually made a push for the playoffs since. Trading for CJ McCollum has given this team new life, and they're now one of the hottest teams in the whole league, with McCollum especially playing great scoring the ball for them. Brandon Ingram has also embraced more of a playmaking role, and Jonas Valanciunas has been posing as a consistent double-double threat every game. If Zion were to return before the play-in tournament, and he produces anywhere close to how he was playing last season, the Pelicans have as good of a chance as anyone to win that play-in tournament in the West, and a playoff berth would be a big step in the right direction for the franchise. There are so many rumors floating around about Zion Williamson not wanting to be in New Orleans, and if he tries to pull something similar to what Ben Simmons did this year, where he forces his way out, I can definitely see the league's next collective bargaining agreement being something that results in a potential lockout, with how contentious the meetings might be. We saw a brief NBA lockout in 2011, we're seeing one in the MLB right now, and the battle between owners and players could definitely do the same thing in 2024 if guys are trying to screw over the franchises that drafted them and give them massive contracts like we've been starting to see a little bit recently. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Boded, and they say that the Cavaliers, despite their impressive record and play this season, are still a first-round exit in the Eastern Conference playoffs. This is more of a testament to how strong the East is this year than it is a slight towards the Cavaliers, because top to bottom the Eastern Conference this season is stronger than it's been in quite some time. Right now the Cavaliers are in 6th place in the standings, and they would probably be matched up with either the Milwaukee Bucks or the Chicago Bulls in the first round, so yeah, I wouldn't pick them against either of those two opponents. Experience is vital to success in the NBA playoffs, and young teams tend to flame out early during their first runs, which might sting in the moment, but it's an important step for the development of a team that wants to contend for years to come. The Cavaliers have NBA champion Kevin Love coming off the bench for them, but besides that, it's led by youngsters like Darius Garland getting his first taste of playoff basketball, Jarrett Allen, who has playoff experience from when he was with the Nets, but not as a player in a go-to role like he's in now. Karis LeVert has honestly played well in prior postseasons, so I won't fault him, but then Lauri Markkanen doesn't have any experience either, and the list goes on. The Cavaliers are one of the best young teams in the league for sure, but I don't think this is the year that they begin to legitimately contend. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.